Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel from a rather cold and rainy Cape Town, South Africa. My name is Dorothy Iso and I am from Dr. D_PhD. Please hit the subscribe button at the bottom as well as the bell icon so that you can be the first to know when I upload videos on a Monday and on a Friday. Now today's guest, Lauren Bates, is a Shakespeare scholar. She's a director. She is an actor, and yes, she's a teacher, and a teacher who thinks that we can actually make education not only meaningful, but we can make it magical and memorable. Hi Lauren, welcome to my channel and thank you for agreeing to speak to us on the importance of theatre in education.
Hello Dorothy, thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
Now, I met you about 10 years ago when we both taught at Vista Nova High School, which is a school for learners with special educational needs. Please tell us a little bit about that experience of working with those youngsters.
Yes, it was incredible working at Vista Nova because I felt like I got sort of 30 years of teaching experience in the 8 years that I was there, because every day you're dealing with a new challenge. You've got to be creative, you've got to adapt your teaching style, and you're constantly reinventing yourself, which I really enjoyed.
Now a little bit about yourself. You are currently pursuing a PhD. What is your area of focus and why did you decide on that?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad degree in English, drama, and religious studies, and then I did a postgraduate certificate in education. So my kind of field of interest revolves around creative writing, literature, and then also the spiritual component of that, the spiritual and ethical component that comes with that, both in the creation of it and in the consuming of it. It actually impacts your spirit and your ethical convictions. So I'm really interested in that.
Why did you decide to pursue studies in theatre and spirituality? What is the connection for you?
Yeah, so the connection for me is that theatre tells us stories about who we are. And for me, I'm a very passionate Christian. I love God. And I really believe that a relationship with God is a very important part of who we are. And actually, that comes across in a lot of literature. Often it's not as obvious. And so you kind of have to go looking for it. And I enjoy that, the kind of detective work of it. So I've done a lot of my academic work has been around Shakespeare and spirituality, looking at moments of prayer in Shakespeare, looking at Bible stories and how that is infused into the Shakespearean narrative and metaphor, and looking at ideas of the conscience, ideas of the soul, and how these are played out in Shakespeare's plays and discussed in Shakespeare's poetry. And I've done 2 master's degrees in Shakespeare. The first was a master's through dissertation that was on Shakespeare and prayer. And then the second one was a master's that I did in at a university in Stratford where Shakespeare was born. And that I looked was called Shakespeare and Creativity. So we did acting, we did creative writing, and then my academic work again revolved around Shakespeare and spirituality. And I think if we look at literature in the classroom, what is the role of literature? Are we just trying to tick boxes? Are we just trying to pass exams? Or is there actually a dimension of that is so enriching and so vital to the health of people, of humanity? And I think that's what really grabs me and draws me in.
And to me, thanks, Lauren. And that actually speaks to being relevant. And like I said, speaking to the heart and the souls of our learners. So, Lauren, apart from your studies, what other projects are you busy working on at the moment?
Yeah, so I run an educational theatre company called EDUCASIONS. And our slogan is creative learning occasions, meaningful, memorable, magical.
Wow.
And for me, it's all about making education an adventure, an exciting event, something that is that draws the students in and it captivates them, and that makes them sort of feel part of something kind of magic, something enchanted that's taking place. So there's one aspect of it is putting plays on for students, and then there's also doing plays with students. And that's something I've also done at Vista Nova. We've taken part in the Shakespeare Schools Festival for the last 10 years.
Oh,
And it's been an incredible journey watching the kids grow in confidence, teamwork, self-awareness, self-esteem, imagination. There's so many benefits that come from performing. And it's not just about the finished product, but the whole process that you go through to get there. Yeah.
you know, your passion is so palpable and contagious at this time. I mean, we really need that kind of positivity in our teaching profession. And thank you for making such a huge difference. And when I think about what you are doing, I see bigger things for you. What is on the horizon for Lauren Bates next?
Well, at the moment, I am starting work on my PhD. So I'm really interested in looking at Shakespeare in the South African classroom and what it is able to do. How can it be activated? And with the type of violence that surrounds young people all the time, especially it was kind of brought to my attention with the gender-based violence protests end of last year. And I just thought, wow, we're teaching these Shakespeare plays across the whole country. What can we do with them in order to speak to these issues of violence and in order to empower young people to process the things that they're going through? So I'm currently developing a series of creative lessons with a woman called Gina Bloom, who's an academic from the University of California. And we're working together to take a computer game that she has developed that kind of dramatizes Shakespeare. You act out the Shakespeare, and then the characters on the screen imitate what you're doing. So we're taking her game, and we're taking some of my methods and my strategies, and we're putting those together to create these beautiful lessons that hopefully next year, when schools are a bit more normalized, we'll be able to take into schools and start gathering data, but also start sharing these adventures with young people. So the plays I'm looking at are Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Hamlet, and Othello. And I've taken two moments from each play to explore different types of violence. So things like domestic violence, civil war, violence between men and women, violence when an innocent person is caught in the crossfire, violence that involves alcohol, and all of these things are things that we can relate to as a society. And actually taking those moments and really meditating on them, really chewing them, and getting out of them what is useful for us to take us forward to create a more peaceful society.
And that speaks exactly to the contextual realities of our learners and of society, especially in South Africa today. Lauren, you have done amazing work with youngsters. What do you get from the youngsters? How do they feel about being involved in your projects?
Well, it's just been incredible. Last year I did a production of the Robben Island Shakespeare, which is this beautiful play written involving interviews with political prisoners who'd been on Robben Island in the 70s, and this copy of the complete works of Shakespeare that they read, and extracts from that are included in the play. And I put this play on with 11 of my past pupils from Vista Nova. And it was so special to work with them all again. And we had such an adventure. We performed it in 3 different venues we worked together for about 6 months. And it was just incredible seeing them kind of coming to grips with the very traumatic history of the country, but at the same time finding that wisdom, that hope, that resilience through the creativity, through the poetry, and through that empathy that they had with the characters that they were portraying. And they all just had such an incredible time, and I had such an incredible time learning from them and going on that adventure with them. So, acting and performing is not for everyone. Some people hate it, and I've had to learn to embrace that and accept that. But for many people, it's very empowering, and it gives them a voice. And I think that's one thing that has come across that I've seen over the years, that people, especially if they felt marginalized, a lot of the kids I work with have well, they all have disabilities of some kind. They felt marginalized, they felt voiceless, and doing these performances has actually helped them to feel seen, validated, and given them a voice. And particularly the last production that I did, we actually included as part of the play written pieces that the performers contributed themselves. That actually had a powerful effect on the overall product because they were speaking from their own hearts. They weren't just saying someone else's words, but they were saying their own words. And that took a lot of courage, but it gave them such a powerful feeling of importance, and that their thoughts and that their ideas matter, and that they can actually speak to the older generation and appeal to them and teach them. And I think that's something that really resonates with me, that the voices of young people need to be heard, because very often they see things more clearly because they haven't been sort of jaded and, overwhelmed by all the sort of contradictions of society. They see things much more clearly, and they can actually speak to us, and creativity gives you a way of doing it that makes it easier for people to receive. You're not just shouting and saying I hate you, or swearing at people, but you've thought it through, and you've come to something beautiful and powerful that you can actually give into the world. And I think that's something that really inspires me.
Lauren, I can listen to you for days on end. But unfortunately, we have a time limit. Thank you very much for sharing so eloquently your experiences, your passion, and for enlightening us. We really do appreciate you, and we wish you everything of the best going forward.
Thank you so much, Dorothy, and thank you for this amazing platform that you're creating to inspire teachers. I think it's wonderful.